The airport never really slept. Even in the early morning hours, it breathed, through rolling suitcases, flickering departure boards, overlapping announcements, and the constant hum of thousands of lives briefly intersecting before scattering again. Ethan Miller sat at gate 23, slouched slightly forward, careful not to wake his son. Noah was 4, small for his age, with sandy hair that refused to lie flat no matter how often Ethan smoothed it down. He slept with his cheek pressed against Ethan's chest, mouth slightly open, one arm wrapped around his father as if instinctively afraid of letting go. Ethan didn't move. His back ached, his neck was stiff, and his eyes burned from lack of sleep, but he stayed still. Being a single dad had trained him to endure discomfort quietly. Their flight to Chicago was delayed by an hour. Ethan had planned to use the time to close his eyes, maybe steal a few minutes of rest before another long day. He had worked a double shift at the warehouse, packed nose bag at midnight, and driven through fog to reach the airport before sunrise. Coffee had stopped helping years ago. That was when he noticed the girl. She stood several rows away, near one of the massive windows overlooking the runway. She was too young to be alone, maybe 6 or 7, and far too still for a child her age. A pink backpack hung awkwardly off one shoulder, sliding down her arm again and again. She kept pushing it back up without really noticing, her attention fixed on the sea of passing adults. Her eyes darted from face to face. No one stopped. Ethan watched her for a few seconds longer than necessary. Airports were full of odd moments. Parents stepped away to take phone calls. Kids wandered a few feet ahead. He told himself there was a reasonable explanation. Then her lower lip began to shake. She hugged herself tightly, blinking fast, clearly fighting tears. Ethan sighed quietly, the way tired parents do when responsibility taps them on the shoulder whether they're ready or not. He carefully shifted Noah onto the seat beside him, tucking a jacket around his small shoulders. Then Ethan stood and approached the girl slowly, deliberately, making sure not to startle her. "Hey," he said gently, crouching down to her level. "Are you okay?" The girl flinched at first, then shook her head hard. "No," she whispered. Her voice was thin, stretched tight with fear. "What's your name?" Ethan asked, keeping his tone calm. "Lily." "That's a nice name," he said. "I'm Ethan. Did you lose someone?" Her eyes filled instantly. "My mom." Ethan felt a familiar ache in his chest, the same one he felt whenever Noah cried for his mother in the middle of the night. "Okay," he said softly. "That happens sometimes. Where did you last see her?" "She told me to wait by the bathroom," Lily said quickly, as if she'd practiced the words. "She said she'd be right back. I didn't move. I promise I didn't move." "I believe you," Ethan said without hesitation. "How long ago was that?" Lily shrugged, wiping her nose with her sleeve. "My feet got tired." That wasn't an answer, and it didn't need to be. Ethan stood and gently extended his hand. "How about we go find someone who can help us make an announcement?" She hesitated, glancing around again, panic rising. "I won't leave," Ethan added. "You won't be alone." After a moment, Lily placed her small hand in his. Her grip was tight. They walked together to the nearby security desk. Ethan explained the situation, keeping his voice low and respectful. The officer nodded, immediately alerting his colleagues. Lily was given a bottle of water and a seat beside Noah, who had woken up and was now watching her curiously. "Daddy," Noah whispered. "Who is she?" "This is Lily," Ethan said. "She's waiting for her mom." Noah nodded solemnly, as if that explained everything. He scooted closer and offered Lily his stuffed dinosaur without a word. She accepted it, hugging it tightly. Minutes passed, then more. An announcement echoed through the terminal. "Attention passengers, if you are traveling with a child named Lily, please report to gate 23. Nothing happened. Lily's shoulders slumped. "She's probably busy," she murmured. "She's always busy." Ethan sat beside her. "What does your mom do?" "She talks to people on her phone," Lily said. "All the time, even when we eat." Ethan nodded slowly. He knew that world. The world where adults thought productivity was the same thing as presence. "She loves you," he said carefully. Lily looked unconvinced. Another 15 minutes crawled by. The crowd shifted. Boarding calls echoed for other flights. People laughed, argued, rushed past, completely unaware that a little girl's entire world had shrunk to a single gate. Finally, a security officer returned, his expression urgent. "Sir," he said to Ethan, "we found a woman frantically searching for her daughter. She's on the far side of the terminal. Come with me." Lily jumped to her feet before he finished speaking. They walked quickly, Lily nearly running now, dragging Ethan along. Her backpack bounced against her back, the dinosaur clutched to her chest. As they rounded a corner, Lily froze for half a second, then screamed. "Mommy!" A woman spun around sharply. She was tall, dressed in a tailored coat, heels clicking against the tile. Her phone slipped from her hand and hit the floor as her face crumpled. "Lily!" She ran. The force of the reunion knocked Lily backward as the woman dropped to her knees, wrapping her daughter in her arms. She kissed Lily's hair, her cheeks, her forehead, sobbing openly, uncaring of the stares around them. "I lost you," she cried. "I turned my back for 1 second, 1 second. I didn't move," Lily sobbed. "I stayed right there. I know, baby, I know." The woman finally looked up. Her eyes met Ethan's. For a moment, she just stared, taking in his tired face, the child behind him, the way he stood protectively but without expectation. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for staying with her." Ethan shook his head lightly. Anyone would have. A man in a dark suit rushed up, whispering urgently into the woman's ear. She listened, nodding absently, never taking her eyes off Ethan. "Ms. Hart," the man said quietly, "the board is waiting." Ethan stiffened. Hart, as in Amelia Hart, the billionaire tech CEO whose face appeared on business magazines, news panels, and airport advertisements. Amelia Hart looked back at her daughter, then at Ethan again. "No meeting is worth this," she said firmly. Ethan picked up Noah, settling him on his hip as boarding for his flight was announced over the loudspeaker. "I'm glad you found her," he said simply. The plane touched down in Chicago with a gentle jolt, tires screeching briefly against the runway before slowing into a smooth roll. Ethan exhaled, only then realizing how tightly he'd been holding his breath. Noah pressed his face to the window. "Daddy, we're here." "Yeah, buddy," Ethan smiled, ruffling his hair. "We made it." The flight had been quiet. Noah slept most of the way, curled against Ethan's side, while Ethan stared out at the clouds, his mind replaying the scene at the airport again and again. The panic in Lily's eyes, the relief in her mother's voice, the sudden realization of who that woman was. Amelia Hart, billionaire, CEO, one of the most powerful women in the country. And yet, in that moment, she'd just been a terrified mother on her knees. Ethan pushed the thought aside as they filed off the plane. Encounters like that didn't change lives. They happened, and then life moved on. Or so he believed. They reached baggage claim, the carousel already groaning to life. Noah hopped from foot to foot, pointing excitedly at every suitcase that passed as if one of them might suddenly transform into something magical. "Daddy, can we get pancakes now?" he asked. Ethan chuckled. "If Aunt Claire hasn't eaten already, maybe." "Ethan." The sound of his name stopped him cold. He turned slowly. Amelia Hart stood a few feet away. No heels this time, no tailored coat. She wore jeans, a simple sweater, her hair pulled back loosely. Lily stood beside her, holding a juice box, eyes lighting up when she recognized him. "It's him," Lily said, tugging her mother's hand. "That's the man." Ethan blinked. Hi. I hoped I'd catch you before you left," Amelia said. Her voice was calmer now, but her eyes still carried the weight of what had happened earlier. "I asked security which flight you were on." Ethan shifted Noah on his hip, suddenly aware of how out of place he must look. Wrinkled hoodie, worn sneakers, dark circles under his eyes. "Everything okay?" he asked. Amelia nodded. "Because of you." She turned to Lily. "Go say thank you properly." Lily stepped forward and wrapped her arms around Ethan's leg. "Mom says you're my hero." Ethan knelt slightly. "I'm just a dad who didn't want you to be scared." Noah leaned down from Ethan's arms. "I gave her my dinosaur." Lily smiled. "I kept it." Amelia watched the interaction, something soft breaking through her composed exterior. "Can I buy you breakfast?" she asked suddenly. "Please. I owe you more than a thank you." Ethan hesitated. His instinct was to decline, to keep his life simple, predictable. But Noah perked up at the word breakfast. "Pancakes?" Noah asked hopefully. Amelia smiled. "The best ones in the terminal." They sat at a quiet cafe overlooking the tarmac. For the first time that morning, Amelia silenced her phone and slipped it into her bag. Ethan noticed. "I don't usually do this," she admitted, stirring her coffee. "Disappear, I mean. I figured," Ethan said gently. Lily swung her legs under the table. "Mom's always busy." Amelia winced but didn't correct her. Instead, she looked at Ethan. "Tell me about you." Ethan shrugged. "Not much to tell. Warehouse supervisor. Single dad." "What happened to Noah's mom?" Amelia asked, carefully. Ethan didn't flinch. He'd told the story enough times that it no longer felt sharp, just heavy. "She passed away 2 years ago," he said. "Cancer. Fast." "I'm sorry," Amelia whispered. "So am I," Ethan replied simply. They ate in silence for a moment, the clinking of cutlery filling the space. Noah happily demolished a stack of pancakes while Lily copied him, laughing when syrup stuck to her fingers. "You stayed," Amelia said quietly. "You could have handed Lily to security and walked away." Ethan met her gaze. "That didn't feel right." Amelia nodded slowly. "I've built companies worth billions. I negotiate contracts without blinking. But today," her voice faltered, "I turned my back for one phone call and nearly lost my child." "She wasn't lost," Ethan said. "Just waiting." The words seemed to hit her harder than anything else. "I thought providing everything meant being a good mother," Amelia admitted. "Today, I realized how wrong I've been." She reached into her bag and slid a sleek card across the table toward Ethan. "I run a foundation," she said. "It supports working parents, childcare access, emergency help, flexible work programs." On paper, it looks impressive. Ethan glanced at the card but didn't pick it up. "In reality," she continued, "it's been more branding than impact. I want to change that." She looked him straight in the eyes. "I want someone who understands the struggle, not from reports, but from living it. I want you to help lead it." Ethan laughed softly, shaking his head. "You don't want me. I don't belong in that world." "You belong exactly in that world," Amelia said firmly. "Because you didn't help Lily for recognition. You helped because it was right." Noah looked up. "Daddy, are you getting a new job?" Ethan smiled at him. "Maybe. We'll talk about it." Amelia stood and extended her hand. This time, there were no suits, no whispers, no urgency, just gratitude. "Thank you for reminding me what matters," she said. Ethan shook her hand. "Thank you for listening." Months later, Ethan stood in a modest office, sunlight streaming through the window as Noah colored at a small desk nearby. The foundation was different now, focused, grounded, real. At the grand opening of a new childcare center, Ethan spotted Amelia in the crowd, Lily waving enthusiastically beside her. Their lives hadn't merged into fairy tales or headlines. They'd merged into something better.